Howdy-ho, neighborinos. Welcome to Cybersecurity for Civilians 02A. This is Keith Bird with some more information you need to know to keep the bad guys out of your computer and away from your stuff. Now, before we proceed, we need to talk about a word which will come up again and again in our series, trade-offs. What do we mean by this? Well, first, it means that security is going to cost you something. The good news is that it's probably not going to cost you a lot of money. It will, however, cost you a little bit of time, a little bit of research, and a little bit of effort. The other way in which the word applies is that we have to find a proper balance between security and convenience. For example, on one end of the spectrum, you could keep your computer perfectly safe by digging a 6-foot hole in the ground, putting your computer in the bottom of that hole, then filling it in with concrete. That would be perfectly secure, but not very useful. On the other hand, if we just did away with passwords and just went with trusting people all the time, well, that would be really convenient, but not secure at all. So we have to find that balance, and some people are going to find that balance in a different spot than other people, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. So topics that we're going to cover in the 02 series will be VPNs, Windows updates, backing up your stuff, and 2FA. That is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. So what is a VPN? A VPN is a virtual private network. It is a service that lets you access the web safely and privately by routing your connection through a server run by the VPN service and hiding your online actions. So, for a lot of this material, by the way, I do need to give credit. I got a lot of this material from thebestvpn.com. They have a great beginner's guide. This URL, of course, will be in the video notes below. So let's go a little bit into what a VPN is and what it does. I have to issue a warning. It is a little techy, but it's not too bad, I promise. So the destination site, let's say you're going to Amazon.com. The destination site sees the VPN server as the traffic origin, not you. No one can easily identify you or your computer as the source of the data, nor what you're doing, like what websites you're visiting, what data you're transferring, etc. And your data is encrypted before it leaves your computer, so even if someone does look at what you're sending, they only see encrypted information and not raw data. Now, on the second point, I need to emphasize the word easily. There's no perfect security in this world. If someone has enough time and the right tools and just a full motivation, they could potentially break into your VPN service there. So here is a very easy diagram that I got from that website. You see here, there's your computer and your data is in the open and you are working on the internet. It's going back and forth. I'm not saying that there's anything necessarily wrong with this situation, but that is what you have without a VPN. And then here is what a VPN does for you. You see there in the middle is the VPN server. And there's you, and there's the internet, and everything from the internet to you and from you to the internet goes through that VPN server. Now notice you have encrypted connection. That means that your data is encrypted before it even leaves your computer. So even if they were to somehow be between you and the VPN server, they still would not be able to see what you're doing. So when would you need to use a VPN? Well, despite what you might think, you might not need to use a VPN service all the time or even some of the time. But here are some circumstances, some situations in which you definitely would need to use a VPN. Free Wi-Fi, for example, in McDonald's or Starbucks, restaurants, they offer, quote, free, end quote, Wi-Fi. As I mentioned in the '01 series, do not use free Wi-Fi unless you're also using a VPN. It just is not secure. Also, if you are in a hotel slash motel, most hotels and motels will offer you Wi-Fi along with your room, and that's perfectly fine. I would not be using that Wi-Fi unless I was on a VPN. The thing you notice about these two examples here, you don't know their network. You don't know who's running that network. You don't know who else is on that network. You don't know anything about the routers. You don't know how well those routers are being maintained. You don't know anything about the security on those networks. And so I just wouldn't risk it. And security researchers have found time and time again using Wi-Fi in restaurants, coffee houses, and such, it's just not secure. Now, also, you might want to use a VPN if you feel the need to be extra secure, such as banking. One of my colleagues that I worked with in cybersecurity, he was very conscientious about security. In fact, some of us called him paranoid. And he told me he would use a VPN service when he was logging into his bank from home. He just wanted to have that extra security. To be totally upfront, I don't do that. But this is all about trade-offs. And if you feel the need to have that extra bit of security, you might want to use a VPN service. So what about free VPNs? Here's something that we need to understand. Nothing is free in this world. And I put extra exclamation marks there. It's just, we got to understand somebody's got to pay the bills. Electricity is not free. Maintaining servers is not free. And, if it's supposedly free to you, well, somebody's got to be paying their bills. Here's something I heard a while back, and it really is true. If you're not paying anything, you're the product, not the customer. So obviously, I am not a huge fan of so-called free VPN service. And if that is so, how much should I be paying for VPN service if I determine that I want and or need it? Well, the good news is you may not have to pay anything at all. It might come with your antivirus package. I have McAfee as my AV software, and with the package that I am paying for, it comes with VPN. They just threw that in with it. If I wanted to, I could use it with no extra charge. Or some AV packages might have VPN service if you pay a little bit more to them. Now, if you do need a VPN and it does not just come with your AV package, I would recommend maybe $5 a month, really no more than 10. That would be on the outside. Okay, I'd like to demonstrate for you just how easy it is to use a VPN service. A while back, I purchased a lifelong license from VPN Unlimited for, I believe, about $40. And I cannot attest to whether or not that sale is still available, but I managed to take advantage of that. I also cannot attest to whether or not VPN Unlimited is the best VPN service out there. I've seen some rating systems in which it is not considered to be among the best, and that's perfectly fine. It works perfectly well for my needs. My purpose here is to demonstrate for you just how easy it is to use this VPN service, because whatever VPN service you decide to purchase, it will probably be just about as easy as this is. So let me go to the Windows Start menu and launch VPN Unlimited. And you can see it here. And right now I am located in Euless, Texas. That is actually where I live and where I'm located. And then I just hit the start button. And bingo, I am now actually connected to the VPN server in Houston, Texas, up here. And as far as any website that I go to is concerned, I am not in Euless, I am in Houston, Texas, originating all of my traffic from that server there in Houston. So that's how easy it is to use. And when I'm done, I just hit the stop button, and I am now disconnected. It really is that easy. Now you might be wondering at this point, the question might have occurred to you, so if a VPN is that easy to use and is more secure, why wouldn't you just turn on your VPN service and never turn it off? And that is a good question. And as far as I know, there are two possible reasons why you might not want to do that. They may not apply to you, but they are some things to consider. The first one is throughput. Your internet service might suffer a slowdown, a little bit of a slowdown, if you have your VPN just turned on all the time. That is a possibility. However, with the new VPN services and the new internet speeds, it is highly unlikely that you would notice any actual slowdown on your internet speed. The other possible reason why you would not just turn on your VPN, and I have experienced this myself, the streaming services such as Netflix and Hulu, they don't like you to have VPN turned on. The reason for that is if you have VPN turned on, you can watch TV shows and movies that are played in other countries and are not available in the United States. And I have seen this myself. I was in a hotel about a year ago, and I turned on my VPN service, obviously, and while I was on, I figured I would go ahead and sign into my Netflix account and watch something there, and sure enough, Netflix came up and said, "Hey, Mr. Bird, you are using VPN, aren't you? I'm sorry, you are not going to be able to access your Netflix TV shows and movies until you turn that sucker off." So anyway, those are two possible reasons why you would possibly not want to just turn your VPN on and leave it on. So that's it for this section. I hope you enjoyed it and found it informative. Thanks so much for watching, and on to the next topic, which will be Windows updates.